It's easier to grasp the aesthetics of the imagination than the visual truth of memories.
Precisely. 8% of dream reconstructed.
Who found her?
Didn't you get the report? It was her husband.
Okay. I'm investigating the brain of a top executive. I'm not really sure the story around her death is true.
16% of dream reconstructed.
I saw a lot of other things. I just need to understand her unconscious better. There's such melancholy to all this.
When we first started, we didn't know where we were going to end up. The challenges we would face.
Joanna, is it you?
100% of dream reconstructed.
What the hell happened here, Russell?
Hello, folks.
Hello.
Welcome to a little fabulous event that we're doing today, which is a launch stream of a brand new game called The Signifier.
Yay!
Never before been launch streamed. I don't know if that's super exciting, but the
Never
fact that
before been launched.
exactly, it's the first time this game is being launched. What a crazy occurrence. And my name's Liam, producer, protector of the realm, blah, blah, blah. On my left and your right is...
Loki. Hi, I'm a producer person here.
He's a producer person.
This producer person.
We got double producer persons.
Yo.
We're producing it up. And on our top, above us, is none other than Mr. David Fenner. Hello.
Hello.
Why don't you introduce yourself for the people on the internet who may or may not know who you are?
Okay, I don't think they do. I'm David, the creative director behind the Signifier, and yeah, this is a game that we've been working on for quite a while in Santiago, Chile. So pretty excited to be here. I don't know if that makes a good enough intro, but yeah, I mean, perhaps we'll talk a bit going forward, or the team and all, but that's pretty much us.
Yes, we're going to pick your brain about the game.
We definitely are. And David, that was a beautiful intro. Beautiful. Now, we are going to do a bunch of things today on stream. We've got a very interesting stream planned, I think. We are going to be playing the Signifier right here, live, with David on board. And we'll be talking a little bit about the inspiration for the game, how the development has gone, and some of the things that Signifier is all about. So we'll do a proper deep dive. And we'll be keeping an eye on the chats on Steam, on Twitch. And if you have any questions for David or for us, just drop them in the chat. We'll get to those. We'll be streaming. How far into the game are we going to be playing today? We're playing for about an hour. What are we going to see today?
Well, we're probably going to start from the very beginning and get into some of the how the game looks, some of the base mechanics. We're going to ask David about those things. We're going to ask him about some of the themes and what we're going to, why are we starting like this in the game? Stuff like that. All
right. And before we do that, for anyone who isn't familiar with the Signifier, what is this game? What's it all about?
What's the lowdown? Do you want to take this, David? I think you know it the very best.
Sure. Well, the Signifier is a game about, like, the general concept. You could say it's a game about the human mind, about AI, and about technology and how let's say the premise. I mean, the premise is that in the future, let's say there was a bridge, so to speak, as we go deeper and deeper into understanding the brain. Suddenly, the theories from psychoanalysis, we find out that they actually make more sense scientifically than we may have expected. Because psychoanalysis is always like being discussed. It's not a science, but there's a big academic background to it, and there's always this tension between science and psychoanalysis, And but what if in the future, as we explore the brain, suddenly the concept of the unconscious, the symbolism in the unconscious, the signifier chains, as Lacan would call it in psychoanalysis. What if these things actually, we found out some of this hidden language of the mind through technology? So that's kind of the biggest premise, that everything kind of goes down from there. The gameplay mechanics, the story, everything about the game kind of starts based on that concept of bridging psychoanalysis and science. So it's a very dark, introspective journey with a lot of, you could say, original, thought out mechanics that are maybe simple, but they all have meaning to the story, meaning to the concept, and it's you could say it's also a very intellectual journey, so to speak. It requires the player's attention, but it's also like we worked really hard to make it intuitive and accessible. So we're pretty proud of the result. We think it's in a right balance. It has lots of unique moments, of memorable moments, and yeah, I mean, it's we're really proud of what we achieved, and I hope players feel the same. But I guess that kind of, it's you could say, in the fewest words I can think of, what the game is about.
Lovely. Thank you so much, David.
Heavy stuff.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff. I mean,
Yep.
I'll say before we dive into this, you mentioned this a little bit, but it's a game of mature themes. So
Yeah.
Yes.
it's a tough one, and if that scares you in any way, then this is time to leave. If that excites you in any way, if the idea of a psychological thriller that has a bit of a
spooky
dark tone,
I think the beginning of
spooky-
the game is not that bad.
Okay.
The late parts of the game is a little bit darker and darker, you could say. But so we won't get into the really, really scary stuff, I guess.
Oh, okay.
But we'll see some of it maybe.
It's good to be aware of, though. If that kind of stuff is not your cup of tea, maybe look away, maybe close your eyes and just listen as you wish. But now, without further ado, let's tune in to the Signifier.
The Signifier.
We happen to have it running here in the studio.
It is running now.
And Loki's going to play it for us. Loki, have you
Yes.
played this game before?
Maybe a couple of times.
Strong maybe. All right, let's go. We're going to start a brand
Yes.
new game. Go
New
from the
game,
beginning.
I'm gonna. Yes.
Okay.
This is not a pipe.
It isn't, is it?
It's a good start.
Do we have
Here's
audio?
the
Yeah, we do.
intro thing where we kind of set the stage, right? Telling you about that we're in the kind of near future, and we've the technological advances of kind of mind AI and mind scanning technology, I guess, is what we're setting up here, I guess.
All right.
The Dreamwalker project. Who are we playing in this game, David? And who is this main character that we're playing?
Well, his name is Frederick Russell. He's the main researcher of the
Please sign right
Dreamwalker machine,
Let me
which
take a picture of you
which
with the
basically
box. A
it's
picture? Why?
he comes from
It's
the
part of the
academic
program.
side of things.
Oh.
Basically
Okay.
studying
I don't need
the
to remind you how
subconscious through
sensitive
technology,
it is.
trying to make this
I
bridge,
know.
right?
Thanks.
And he develops such a potentially successful approach to brain scanning that he gets the attention of the TSB, the Technology Safeguard Bureau, which is like this new government entity that wants to, thanks to social media and brain scanning and AI, there's been a lot of tension regarding regulating technology. So they want to take control. They have an aggressive control of things.
It just arrived.
And
This
and
guy
they
Tom,
you
that's
get
calling us right now is part of that, right?
Drug overdose, but I don't buy it.
yeah, he calls you, and basically in order
She was a lawyer
to keep
at
your
the
research
team.
alive and not get like the government up
Oh.
to your neck, you make a deal with them to try to help them with a few cases by reconstructing and investigating some memories that with your unique subjective approach,
Why
right?
not wait for the full autopsy?
But he doesn't want any of that. He's just like going forward with his research and gets in the middle of this huge investigation.
All right, so hold up a second here. This person here that we're looking at,
Yep.
suspected suicide, drug overdose, something like that. And we need to do what? We need to dive into her dreams? Is that the situation?
All right. I'll do what I can.
Yeah, basically, that's Joanna, and you could say that's one of probably the most important, if not the most important character in the game, even if she starts dead. You have to investigate her brain, and she's the vice president of a huge tech company. So yeah, that you have to investigate her memories and as you get deeper into them, you of course get into sensitive data and kind of starts unfolding a spiral of problems and intrigue.
Okay. So this guy Tom is our friend.
He's more of he's like the agent that has your contact from the TSB. He's kind of friendly, but he also holds a lot of power over you. So
Okay.
it's a weird power dynamic there.
All right. Oh, interesting. So we can read the newspaper as well. This is good. We got this procrastination mechanic. So we have an objective, but we can go do other stuff. That's nice.
You can turn on the radio,
Oh, cool.
listen to some tunes.
What kind of genres are we looking at here?
I think it's mainly classical music for Russell.
Mainly
right?
classic. So Frederick is a man of culture.
Yeah. Here's this awesome brain scanning machine,
A little project. It's come a long way.
the Dreamwalker machine.
Where can I pre-order one of those? Is that a thing? So we have a question from the chat here from Arvezik. Do you have a random fun fact about the game? And I'm going to ask this to both David and Loki. Do you both have a random fun fact about the game? No
Random
spoilers.
fun fact?
Ooh, no spoilers.
You go ahead, Loki.
Oh man. I don't know. Fun fact
Random
about
fun
the
fact.
game.
Let me think.
Yeah.
But what about it? It's more a fun
I
fact
have
of the
a great
development.
one. What
Okay.
was that? What were you going to say, David?
No, I was wondering if it's a fun fact of the development process or of maybe the story itself, because there are lots of fun facts about the development process.
I guess you could do both if you want to. We're just gonna. By the way, there was someone who mentioned the game was stuttering a little bit, so I'm gonna see if we can fix that in the stream. But if you have a fun fact about the development, I think that's very interesting as well.
I just love the fact that the guy that's playing Russell, his voice actor, is the same guy, Richard Epcar, who's doing Raiden in Mortal Kombat, which is really cool.
Oh yeah,
For
that's
some
a fun fact,
random
yeah.
reason. I think that's pretty cool. He did a great job as
Yeah.
well, voicing Russell.
Yeah, and he's Raiden. He's I think Akuma from Street Fighter. He's Batu from Ghost in the Shell. So, I mean, he has a lot of fans, and this is probably his most serious role ever. So it's fun thing to watch him.
Very nice.
Right, now we are in Johanna's apartment.
Let us know if the quality is a little better now. I think we may have fixed some of the stuttering there. Our connection's been a bit spotty this week, so sorry about that.
And we can take a look out of this
Oh man,
beautiful vista over here.
look at that! Which city is this? Where are we?
Well, that's actually a made-up city. In one of our artists, Cristobal Atria.
Okay.
We made it up. We really wanted the game to be like in this place that you can't really get a hold on, but it's all the same familiar, that has this tech feel to it, but also has some different neighborhoods. And we didn't want to make the game localized to a specific country. So we just made the world up. In fact, that map you see there, you can see from later in the game, you go to that building that's in the background, and you actually can see the same view, but from the other side, and see Joanna's apartment at the end of it. So it's a made-up city, basically, with a few locations.
I love that. He just threw together a city. He just made it up. It's just a city.
Made it up.
It's easy.
Yeah.
We're going to see if we can get the stuttering to be a little less there.
I guess another interesting thing about the apartment, and fun fact maybe, is that many of the locations in the reality are designed by an architect. This apartment itself, which people always say that, oh, I want that apartment. It was designed by an architect, a friend of mine, and as well as the warehouse and a few other locations. And we really wanted for the locations in the reality to, instead of like doing only a gameplay thing that then filling it with assets, we really wanted to nail the atmosphere and the sense of place, of environment, and then kind of figure out the way you would move in those places. We did kind of the invert in these cases because of the narrative weight of the places. We went full on making the right place for the character, that it talks about their psychology, their tastes, and then you explore it and figure out how that talks about the character. So in the mind sections, it's a bit different because there's more gameplay there. But in the reality sections, which is mainly exploration, it's pretty much designed from scratch, thinking in the characters and etc. So I guess that's an interesting thing, that the places are designed from scratch.
That's a big part of the game. We're gonna see it in a little bit here. We're just gonna explore this, I guess, real life location first. And we'll talk to this police officer a little bit here.
Because kind of the big thing is jumping between the dreams and the kind of different states of the dreams. It's a very core element of the game. It's very cool.
Yeah, we're gonna talk to this police officer a little bit, and then we're gonna go investigate upstairs.
There are lots of loose ends as to why.
Yeah, and about the mind, like the game basically has three dimensions, but two like more separate ones. There is the reality sections, which is basically like an traditional adventure, first-person adventure game, where you talk to characters, inspect objects, gather clues, etc., pick up objects. And then when you go into the mind, that's home to a whole different gameplay mechanics. So it's kind of a mix. So the reality sections of the games are very familiar to other games, like, let's say, I don't know, Firewatch or narrative games. But the mind is where the weirder things happen, which we'll probably go in a few moments.
Very cool. So just really quickly, we're gonna change a setting here to hopefully help with. Some people are saying it's stuttering. So Loki, we're gonna be right back with that.
Yep.
Let me just test another setting here. Sorry about that. But in the meantime, what is the inspiration for this game? That's what I'm curious about. Like, how did you come up with this idea of delving into the dreams of the deceased? Because that's a pretty gnarly concept, if I may say so myself.
Totally.
Well, it's I don't think I can nail down one specific moment like Eureka, this is what I'm gonna make. It's evolving. It's evolved very slowly, and you could say that there are inspirations mostly from films and literature. A few games like Silent Hill 2, for me was very interesting because of the way the creatures and the designs and the town itself kind of talked about the psychology of the characters, and that definitely was an inspiration. To find a way of gameplay mechanics actually having to be interpreted and be narrative vehicles of the game itself, right? So there's a lot of inspiration from, I don't know, Tarkovsky, Solaris.
You need a prescription for these.
All over the place, the inspirations, and very, like, since it was started so long ago, the concept itself, and when I really wanted to make it, I became a father pretty young, and I had to have a full-time job like for 5 years, so I just chewed the concept for like 5 years.
Wow.
And it just evolved, it became more and more complex. And I think it was not being able to make the game when I really wanted to was a good thing in the end, because it really it added layer after layer. So yeah, I mean, that's a bit psychoanalysis itself. It's a big inspiration of the game. I'm a big fan. I mean, you could say not fan, but amateur psychoanalysis guy that reads a lot about it, and mixed with AI and technology. And I did some 3D art with photogrammetry one time when I was in a previous job, and that also came to mind, like, okay, what if you could also actually get images from the brain and do and like if you extract the fuzzy images from the brain and you're actually you're able to figure out to which moment they belong. What if you could actually do like a 3D geometry and take output out of them, like Google does, I don't know, with maps, you know, like with a lot of pictures, it just constructs 3D geometry. What if you could do that with the brain? And that piece of visual inspiration came like 4 years later of the original concept. So it's just layer after layer of things that form the game over time.
So you had a dream, and then it evolved, and it turned into a game about diving into dreams. This is very meta, David, I'll be honest. But you mentioned the photo geometry, and that's something we're going to see in just a bit when we get to actually dive into our first dream of Johanna's childhood.
Yeah, we're replaying a little bit here since we had to change the settings and restart.
Sorry about that.
But that's just how it goes sometimes. Thanks. I was gonna ask you, like, because there was like on that thing about reconstructing people's memories and things like that. There was like a recent thing we saw where someone had actually been able to kind of reconstruct like visual data from the brain in some sort of like, it's a little bit similar to this sort of thing. It actually looked quite similar when I saw the images of that. That was pretty cool.
David,
I don't remember exactly who did that.
Are you secretly developing this tech in real life?
No, I don't think I have the resources for that. But I would like to know more about that. I mean, there's so many interesting modern approaches. I mean, it's for me, it's gonna be anytime now. Like brain scanning, it's currently in a very exciting moment, and there are many approaches. You already can reconstruct images from some like immediate images of what someone is currently looking at, very fuzzy. But when soon enough we'll be able to extract some previous data. So yeah, it's very exciting, and the technology, it's basically in the game tries to make one of the approaches and expand on that. And there are many quirks, you know. For example, it's really hard to reconstruct glass in memories, which you can see right there. The glass table, it's kind of glitchy because it's almost impossible for the machine to understand glass through memories because of the way it reflects light. And there are many like very geek things going on in the memory reconstruction that are also very thought out. So
like looking out of the window now, it's that idea that, well, in a memory you wouldn't actually be able to remember exactly what the cityscape looks like, but you know it's the lights coming into the windows. Is that kind of the philosophy here?
Yeah, I mean, it can glitch differently, and there are two states, which adds another layer of complexity, right? The objective state, which is basically what if your eyes were a camera and your ears were a microphone, the machine, the AI can extract that data and try to reconstruct a place that doesn't have anything else, just tries to, the visuals and the sound, tries to make a 3D space out of it. Of course, since it's fuzzy, it has glitches, and it can reconstruct complex materials like glass. But then there's the subjective state, which I think I'm a little behind in the stream, but I think you're going to enter right now. Am I wrong?
Yes.
Yeah, and we're also talking to another character here called Evie. Can you tell us a little bit about that character that we're talking to when we're in these simulations?
Yeah, Evie is basically an AI that it's configured with like a
Subjective
very
reconstruction was
good
successful,
language
but I
model that
couldn't
can
interpret
help
all
you
data.
as you investigate the mind.
Subjective
It
interpretation is
provides
tough for any
with
AI.
some
Special
features like you can ask feedback from her if you're stuck.
That
For
ladder
players that
goes
don't
down to
really,
the first floor.
I mean, don't like to solve the puzzles too hardcore, they can always ask feedback to her. And she's also an AI that's very trained to understand subjective, like the subjective mind, how the person experienced something, and tries to figure out a way to um,
Could this be
represent
yours,
that.
child?
So she's a very special AI, so to speak.
What's going on here?
Now we're in the subjective state, which is kind of like the most symbolic and kind of, I guess, twisted in a way, right, state, David, which is where things are beginning to be a little bit weird, right?
What
Yeah,
is that?
yeah, I mean-
what is going on?
Somewhere in the memory.
Yeah, well,
I cannot interpret it.
the idea is
I
that
need to know what it
when
is
I mean
and where
the
it
the
belongs.
player, the
Alright,
character is
I'll
trying to
study it
find
and
out
put
what
it in the
happened, right?
Mhm.
And the objective state is for that because it's supposedly objective. I mean, it's what she saw, what she and what she heard, even though it's glitchy. But since memories, and here's where the psychoanalysis steps in. Since memories are not objective, I mean, you don't remember exactly what someone else remembers about a certain moment because
Yeah.
you felt it differently, and there's all the subjectivity in yourself that kind of adds to the memory. The objective data is very limited, so you have to dive into the subjective state and become some sort of psychoanalyst that interprets the subconscious and the memory. And the AI also tries to represent the subconscious. For example, there's a missing clock here, right?
Yeah.
In the memory, and the AI struggles to understand it. And here's where the interesting thing is that humans are obviously kind of better, but also get it wrong a lot of times, to interpret how someone else is feeling, or to interpret a subjective thing or something that's out of context. So here's like where you try to understand the data and interpret what the AI randomly tries to. The AI just tries to let's say in the brain you have vision, sound, and let's say you also have taste, how you interpret taste, or how you interpret how someone was feeling when someone knocked at the door. She was afraid, let's say, of that person. How do you interpret that in the memory? So the AI tries to interpret that, but then it's up to you to make sense of it, you know. And by that you have to kind of understand a bit of the symbolism in the mind, the things that repeat in the mind. There's a lot of psychoanalysis there. Concepts that there's like this thing that it's always repeating in the mind, so it means something, and it allows meaning to something else, and that's how you start figuring out the story, like pretty much like you were interpreting dreams, for example.
Do a match with clock
And there's lots of course, possibility for interpreting the wrong thing, and the game always dwells in this duality between objectivity and subjectivity.
Right, and here's a good
So, yeah,
example of
that's
that.
a
When we found this raw data, it was a clock. We placed it, and it turned into this ladder.
Yeah, hold up a second. Hold up, Loki. Before we go up here, I mean,
I want to go up
can
there.
we just take a second?
I want to
to
know
just-
where it leads.
So we've got a game. We've got a machine that lets us dive into the dreams of the deceased. We get to view their memories as objectively as possible, as subjectively. So we get to see everything the way they saw it, the way they interpreted the things and they felt. And we get to try and make sense of it all. And now we're climbing a ladder that emerged out from a clock into the ceiling that leads us to another room. I mean, is your mind blown yet, people? This is
Pretty cool.
This is something pretty special.
I'm in her kind of like closet now, but now
Yep.
I'm going into
Oh my gosh.
weird.
Loki, where are we going? What's happening?
It's like the reverse rabbit hole of Alice in Wonderland.
Where are we going?
I don't know. We'll find out soon enough.
this is, and I'll say this, and I know I'm biased and everything, but this is kind of what I fell in love with immediately with the signifier, is this the realm of possibility within the memories and all the subjectivity versus the objectivity versus the real world. And look,
There's
there's a picture of a dog on a stool following us. I mean, it's just
barking at us. My dog.
oh boy, no, it's not a stool, it's a table. Sorry, that changes
It's a
everything.
small table.
So where are we now? What are we doing now?
We're in a different memory, right, of this apartment. A different time. It's nighttime. It looks like. Here's another one of these raw data things that we've seen before.
So what is this?
Yeah, the concept here is that the last memories, like Evie couldn't interpret her last memories, probably because she was like in an emotional state that was too hard to reconstruct. But through the subjective state, which interpreted the clock as time, we were able to move forward further into the memory and reach another state of the same memory. Later, you can like switch to different states. So now we're closer to the moment she really died, and the subjective state, it's like pretty, weird. And this, for example, this picture of a dog, those are called subjective entities, which is how the AI resolves something that she can't interpret that can have meaning. Like, for example, what it could mean, like this picture of a dog. What does the dog mean? Why is it following me? What's she feeling haunted by it? By interpreting these things and adding behavior to them, basically the AI allows you to try to figure out what these things could mean just by like latching them to a behavior. So it's just like tools to make better sense of things.
So one of the coolest things is what I just did here was basically like just a button press. I'm able to switch between these the subjective and objective states, right?
Oh, do that again.
Yeah. So now I'm here with the dog, and then I can go to the objective state, which doesn't have a dog. Which is a different type of memories, like we talked about before. This is more the actual things that the memory registers of, like what you saw, what you heard, and the subjective one is the more interpretive layer of everything.
So sometimes in the subjective state, you'll see an object is larger than you'd actually expect it to be, or smaller, or a different color. Kind of like things would change essentially. Can you pet the dog, by the way?
I don't know. You could just look at it. This is weird.
What is going on here?
You can't pet the dog, but I assure you, you'll see more of the dog.
Okay.
See what this looks like in the subjective state then.
I like this little the transition screen as well. Oh, what's going on here? It's like spider webs everywhere. Oh boy. Who is this?
Spider web. No way.
It's Johanna or something like that.
And is it fair to say that a lot of the story and a lot of the kind of tone, it's very up to interpretation, right? Like we're seeing this child covered in spider webs laying on a bed here, and I mean, if I look at that, I'd say it's somebody who feels very trapped, right? But would it be fair to say that the story is a little bit up to interpretation and the player gets to make up their own mind here as to what's actually going on, or what would you say?
I mean, I would say 50-50.
Okay.
The game, interpretation is a big subject in the game, because when you're entering subjectivity, of course, the way you interpret things, it's of course what gives meaning to whatever is subjective. But the idea is like, what if you could try to understand and become like a psychoanalyst in a way, like try to understand these different symbolisms in the mind and actually make sense of them, so you can kind of reach an objective conclusion.
Right. Because there is a truth.
But can you find some truth through subjectivity? But of course, in the end, the story, it's a lot about interpretation and the interpretation concept, goes to the very end, the game is not gonna like say like this is the truth in a paper. You know, it's gonna be a lot. The idea is that there's a lot of discussion around what happened, and hopefully people will figure it out.
Right.
And I'm just dying to see theories.
Super cool. It's funny, like in science, they talk a lot about like a witness statement isn't worth very much. If someone claims to see a UFO or whatever, like that's not worth a lot in terms of scientific plausibility. Whereas in law, it's a big deal. Like a witness statement in law is huge. So it's interesting to be able to dive into the memories as opposed to just an account, a story, right? And getting to form an opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
So
Exactly. And there's also the question, you know, like when we're actually able to see those memories, are they reliable as well? You know,
exactly.
Can you actually, because the machine kind of does an objective filter, you know, the dream worker machine, it filters out subjectivity and tries to make an objective reconstruction, but is that as reliable as a picture, or because the memory does pass through your own interpretation anyway.
Sure.
So those subjects are core to the game and also to the real world, the technology aspect of it.
I mean, technically speaking, like how accurate is Evie here? If we're going back, because one of the things we're about to do here, I think, in a bit, is travel back to memories from the childhood of Johanna. How reliable are those memories as opposed to recent ones? Are they still kind of intact, or what's the case in the signifier?
In the case of the signifier, the reliability of memory depends if the objective state is possible.
Okay.
Like there are memories that the objective state just doesn't exist, or it's just too glitched to understand something. So as long as the objective state is possible, it should be reliable. In the world of the game.
So if we can go to the location physically, then it's more accurate, as opposed to like if the house was bulldozed, then we couldn't actually go back there. Is that what you're saying?
All right, this is getting interesting.
We are visiting a couple of places in the memories that we have no way to reach in the real world.
Okay.
But there's a couple of things like that, and even stranger things like dreams where it's completely fictional, right?
So that's why I need you.
Yeah.
So the memory of a dream we visit.
Or password.
Yes, we visit memories which have objective and subjective states, and we also visit dreams that are purely subjective. And there's also the real world, you know, and the real world can give you clues as well, but of course you can travel back, but you can interpret things. So it's a nice, you know, communication between all these different aspects of what happened.
Exciting.
Cool. And then here I made a choice here when I was talking to the police officer here, Tom, or the TSB agent, about like helping him finding a password and not helping him find a password. I mean, is there a lot of choices like this in the game, and what kind of like significance do they have for the story, David?
There are a few choices like that. I wouldn't say there are like thousands of them, but the game has, once again going back to Silent Hill, has Silent Hill 2 a subtle approach regarding choices, in the sense that and also as the theme of the game, they are not like very super clear choices sometimes. I mean, this one is the password, yeah, it's more clear, but it's also like the subtleties of how you say something, when you say it, and those things can influence the ending areas of the game. But you can choose to be helpful to the TSV, which is the government agency, or you can choose to, if you don't like that, you can express yourself kind of politically in the aspect, and that influences the outcome.
Yeah, so there are a little bit like morality choices in a way, like how you want to play it, or how you want Russell to be basically a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. The idea is that the player can express himself a bit, and especially on the ethics of tech, on a few other aspects. Yeah.
Very cool. So we're going to give a shout out here to Zaid Oak for making the best joke of the live stream so far in chat. And we're going to go to a question as well. How long is the signifier? And this is always a difficult question to ask because, you know, there are a lot of puzzles, there are challenges. Some players might be able to kind of zoom through it, whereas others will be a little slower. But generally speaking, is this the kind of game you could finish in an afternoon? Is it going to take a full weekend? Like, what are we looking at for the signifier?
Well, we've had different playthroughs. I would say the mid-term, I mean, for example, there's a reviewer now that says the game is about 6 to 9 hours. I think that's a bit more than what the mid-term. But it's, I would say the general playthrough is 5-6 hours. Some really fast players maybe go 4 that are really good at the puzzles. Some people can even take to 7, even 8 hours if they read everything. But I guess it's around that. I'd say 4 or 5 hours. It would be like 4 to 6 hours maybe. The mid, like 80 to 70% of the people are probably going to be in between that.
Okay. So that's good.
But I'm not sure. I mean, the playtest we did was a bit before. I don't know how with the current content of the game.
It's my favorite section of the game, by the way.
Oh. We're going to pause for Loki.
One of my favorites.
What is this?
It's a dream about a snake. Or a dragon snake. I always think about the what's it called? The never-ending story when I see this dragon snake thing for some reason.
That was cool.
But I guess it means something for Russell, the stream.
Okay. No spoilers. We're not going to tell anyone.
Yeah, you might.
Oh, who's here?
Are
we getting robbed? What's going on?
Yeah, who's this Laura person that's in our house?
It's your daughter. She's crashing at the middle of the night.
It's a very realistic game. Gotcha.
Yeah, my kids wake me up in the middle of the night. They're not teenagers though. Like I guess Laura is late teenager, early 20s, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's somewhere there. Yeah.
Can you play the piano? Is that an option?
We'll see.
Just go on a tangent here. We're gonna spend 20 minutes on the piano here.
Yeah, we're gonna play some nice tunes.
Oh, it is playable. Beautiful. This guy Russell needs training. We're gonna have to.
This is probably like a real piece of music as well, like Beethoven, I think, right? Yeah, nice. And I
really like that a lot of these textures for things like books and papers, and you have the whiteboard in the lab or like the warehouse. You can actually come up close to them and see them. There's a bit of fidelity there, if I can use a buzzword.
There's a lot of details in this game. I mean, you could probably read the back of this book here if you wanted to. Computer and the Brain. You see if somebody in chat has read any of these books. Engines of Privilege. There's some cool stuff in here.
Lovely. Is there a book club in the game? Is there a No, let's move on, Loki. Let's move on.
Okay.
Come on.
Okay.
I think what we need to do is
somebody dropped an envelope.
Hello.
Okay.
Invoices. It's always invoices. Let's be real.
It's bills, right? Yeah.
Oh, hello.
Oh no.
What is this place?
A friend has just sent us something. What's going on there? Some kind of party? Is this a party invite?
It looks
doesn't look like a party invite.
No, it doesn't look like a party invite.
Wishful thinking, people. Wishful thinking.
Okay. And then I guess Laura is sleeping here in the back somewhere. Oop. Dropping her clothes on the floor.
I'll consider it.
Someone's gonna have to do the laundry.
Leaving us notes. Hi, Dad. So I'm here, crashing at your house again. Guess that makes you the winner of our last debate. Sorry about that. Sorry, I wanted to call first, but it's been a rough day. It's been some rough days, and now my phone is dead. Hope you don't mind staying for a few days. I waited for you a few hours, but I really need to sleep now. I haven't slept for a while. I'll explain everything later, Laura. Okay.
From Laura.
Yeah.
Can we wake her up? Nah, she's asleep. Let's not do that. Let's move on.
Let's leave her.
So we've got two objectives. We need to figure out the last 3 digits of the password, and we need to ask Evie to analyze some pictures. So why don't we go ask Evie? Maybe?
Yep, let's go talk to Evie.
I really want to get to the section of the childhood memories, and I've been spoiling that whole stream, haven't I? I'm like going on and on about something that isn't happening yet. I'm sorry, I'm just really excited.
I'm playing too slowly.
Speed up, Loki. Come on.
Speed up.
Oh, look at the whiteboard. I just love this.
Maths or whatever that is. I don't know.
I stare at this for hours.
It's cool.
Beautiful.
Let's see. Let's
Evie,
put this
can
thing
you
in
look
the
at this
scanner.
I guess-
See if you can match that picture with any.
By the way, like
There are any
just
fingerprints
if
or any other clues you
it
can
wasn't
extract.
I'll start with
clear,
the picture.
when
I have hard
you
work
in the
limitations
memory
for most
Joanna
other
died,
tasks.
we actually
Yeah,
found
I
that in the objective
I'll
state there
do
was a
piece of
hand.
scanner soon.
So
Meanwhile,
Right.
for
there-
my little project,
that
kinda
meant,
skipped
I
over
mean,
that.
that meant that probably she wasn't alone, but that's all that Russell could find. So, and now the police asked him to find the password, and he's gonna.
anything
Evie suggests
interesting
that
on search
the
last
password
night?
might be
I found
somewhere
2 parts of her
related to the
lifeline
childhood
that
memory
may
and
help you,
also can
but
give
only
other
one
clues
is
regarding her
fully
death. So
constructed.
that's where
This one is a childhood
we're
memory
going
that
now.
seems to be connected
It's
not
interesting, you know.
only
It's
to
that kind of
but also to her
it's
adult
almost like a
life. And the other
detective
one is a little
story in
later.
some
Yeah.
ways,
Started
but
about
you're
1 month
the
ago.
way you're
Virtually
finding
every
evidence
night.
is
I'll need
extremely
to
unusual.
force my way to
And
a
something like a
reconstruction
hand
test.
floating in the air
I'll
above a
notify
bed.
you when I
What does
have
that mean? Is it a
something
glitch?
separate.
Is it just Johanna kind of looking at her hand while she was going to bed or something? What does it mean? Probably not. It's probably worse than that. And either way, we need to find some more evidence to really substantiate a theory here about what actually happened.
Yeah, it's
So
kind of the
it's-
first indication that it might be foul
Thanks.
play
Mhm.
or something else is involved. And here's an interesting thing that like we haven't seen this before, the lifeline.
Oh yeah.
So we have this is I guess this is the new one. That's where we're supposed to go. Here we open up the childhood memory, age 7. Okay. And
That's
then we
a-
get to pick where we are gonna go here.
Let's go to the top one.
Yeah, we can start in the top one is the objective state, and here in the bottom there's the subjective states. You can see there, red and blue, easy to see. Okay, let's go objective state and see where we end up.
So what we're doing now is we're gonna go find out if
1.2.
somebody had a hand in Johanna's death. And that was the best joke that I have for this stream. So this is
Yeah, so
this
the-
is interesting because this is all the
so-
photogeometry as well that you were talking about before.
Yeah, I mean we did different techniques. In this case, it's actually based on a real
What
place.
song is this?
Searching. I can't
so
find a
it's-
match in
it's,
online
um,
databases.
Like if you could extract pictures from the brain, right, and put them together and try to make a geometry out of them, and that's some childhood memory and basically here you get access to the control panel, which basically allows you to switch to different memories, and actually this memory starts already with an event that has an objective and a subjective version of it, and there's another event that has only a subjective version of it. So it's a more complex memory that spans longer in time, and you have to go deeper into it to see why it could matter to the password and why it could matter to her ending moments, because that's what Evie suggested, that this memory is heavily connected to her last moments, right?
Yeah, here's
So, yeah,
something
that's
that looks a
kinda-
little bit like the raw data thing where you can manipulate it. Time warp.
Yeah.
It's super cool. This is mind blowing, honestly. But this is you said this is a real location that like in our world, you actually took a physical location. This is a real house. Somebody lives here. What's the story behind this place? Is this because I know there's a fun fact about this, right?
Well, it's interesting because we did different approaches. Like, for example, in Joanna's apartment, that's designed from scratch in CG, and then we made this photogrammetry technique out of it for the memory of the real place, which is the real place we invented in the game, right? and in this case, in this memory, we first started with a real place and made it into a memory, and we made basically film production with it. We took out the modern computers and put an old CRT screen there, and we did a lot of that stuff. Took a lot of pictures and made the memory out of it. And then for later in the game, and it's not a spoiler really, but you actually can visit the place, and we made the 3D version of this memory in the future in 3D, right? So it
Totally.
it really depended on which fitted best for the place, for the art direction, and in this case, starting with a real place was just awesome. It had so much like intricate details, and so I mean the place, it's a house here in Santiago. We put it upside down, and it was really fun.
This is totally perfectly normal. You know, we took a real place, we turned it into a memory, then we faked that place in CG to turn it into the real place in the game, but it's a fake place in the game. You know, it's just normal game development. Nothing's crazy about that.
Normal, very normal.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
And it's great though, because you know the feeling of walking through this environment with the geo. Oh my god, I'm trying to say it. Photogeometry. Sorry, yeah.
Photogeometry, yeah.
That's it.
Photogrammetry.
Photogrammetry.
is
Yeah.
My vocab is just expanding on this stream in real time.
I mean, like this is a mind expanding game.
It is. I mean, yeah, it is. It is. But it, as you're saying, like the detail and the nuance and everything, it feels incredibly organic because you've taken this approach and because it is a real location in the real world. So what are we looking for now? We're in the subject. Oh, hello.
What was that?
Was that the dog?
Like when I look at it.
I don't think that was a dog.
That was not a dog.
Alright,
That's the dog.
Oh, hello. What's going on here?
Interesting that this dog isn't in the objective state.
So what does that mean? Does that mean the dog
it's
is
back.
Hello?
It doesn't like when I look at it.
Runs away.
So the fact that the dog is not in the objective state but is in the subjective state may mean that the person having this memory felt the presence of the dog, but it wasn't actually there? I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of ways to interpret what's going on right now, David. I'll be honest.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much the idea. As you go further and further, you can start to find certain patterns, and
Planet system.
try to understand the subconscious, and eventually get a hold on it, and maybe say, I think I know what happened, you know.
Such
And
beautiful innocence.
but everything is through subjectivity, so that's kind of the I guess interesting aspect out of it.
Absolutely.
All right, so we're seeing a lot of strange things here.
Yeah, man, what is going on?
Yeah.
We look at the table one time.
Sure.
It's a good table. Solid.
Good table. Solid.
What kind of wood is that? Is it mahogany or?
Yeah, it could be.
Let's move on. Sorry, no, we got sidetracked. I'm just interior
you like
design,
tables.
right?
Yeah,
Yes, tables are cool.
Tables are cool. Whoa.
Someone in the chat saying, "Do you also have problems with suns floating in your living room?"
This
Shit.
kitchen
What?
seemed to go on forever.
Okay.
Let's see what happens. There's the.
Who's that? Hold up.
That's the
Stop.
strange-
Stop. Hide. What's
I
going
don't-
on?
I don't
Let's
know
go
if I
back.
wanna
Let's go back,
go
Loki. Let's go
close
back.
to-
Let's go. We don't know doing that way. No way. Okay, he's gone. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Deep breath, people. Deep breath. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Go to the kitchen. Let's go.
Let's see if we can.
Well, that's
get a
an
closer look at
interesting
the
puzzle.
spider here.
Perhaps we shouldn't spoil it.
Yeah,
Loki,
no,
what do you
we're-
think?
We're not going to spoil this one.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Well,
Let's go back.
yeah, I'll go back. You probably need to go down there at some point, though.
Not now. It's too scary.
Yeah.
But no, of course we don't want to. We don't
Yeah,
want to spoil
let's-
some of this stuff. But maybe there's. Is there one more state we can take a look at
Yeah,
before we start
there
wrapping
was
up?
another version of this apartment in the
Alright,
subjective
alright.
state. We can check that out.
So yeah, let's take a look at the other event in the subjective state of the same memory, and then I think we're gonna start wrapping it up.
Yes.
Folks, if anyone has any questions for David or for Loki, just drop them in the chat. We'll be streaming for just a little longer, maybe 10 more minutes, and then we're gonna call it a stream, and we're gonna let you play the signifier by yourself instead of spoiling too much. So what is going on here?
Yeah, some strange stuff as always, because we're in the subjective state. Always strange stuff happening here.
David, we got a question from the chat here. How long have you been working on the signifier? You know, you mentioned that the idea has been floating around. You've been dreaming about this game, if I can make that pun again. But how long have you actually been in development for?
Well, first of all, it's been developed like from different. I mean, there's been a lot of people working on the game, and it's sometimes I mean, the project itself, it's like, as a concept, started like more than 10 years ago. And you could say I've been working on it for more than 10 years ago, just very, very erratically. Like probably there's years, like months or even years that I haven't even touched it, just like thinking about it. And there's been like short moments, like for example, 2016, there was some funding from the government that allows us to work intensively on it, like 4 to 5 months, with around 5 people, and then it was dropped again for some months, and then sometimes it was only me, sometimes we were only 4 people. I guess the earlier team, it's 4 people, which is Marcelo and Rodrigo and Cristobal, and then the team has grown, shrink, until we finally found like the real mechanics and found Raw Fury, and then we became finally stable, working on it for almost 2 years, which is like the real, like, powerful development time. So
I'll end with this shot.
you could say in time it's more than 10 years, but you have to cut down like lots of months of inactivity in between. So yeah.
And keep in mind, David's memories are subjective.
Yes.
So what he just said, interpret that any way you want, people. It can mean a lot of things.
And now it's out. How does that feel?
Yeah.
Sports question, I guess.
Well, it's surreal. I feel like it's a chapter of my life. I just hope people enjoy it. So far, so good, I guess. So yeah, I mean,
Hard to replace Carl.
it's surreal to finish such a long
stuff
project.
to read in the bathroom. I'll leave players do that.
Fantastic. Congratulations, David. It's really, really cool
It
to
is,
see this all come together.
It's quite an achievement. This is it's a game that you really that stays with you. I think for me that was the case for me anyways. Like you get moved by this game and you get sucked into it.
It gets you thinking.
Really cool. Yeah.
Very nice.
Exciting stuff.
So I guess we're not going to spoil any more of the gameplay today, but final question, and then we are going to wrap up for the day. David, what does the signifier mean?
Like the title?
Yeah.
Well, the signifier, you have to interpret it. No, I'm just kidding.
Perfect. That was a perfect answer.
Open for interpretation.
Well, I mean, a signifier is a concept that comes from linguistic, and it was created by Saussure. I don't know how you pronounce it in English, but it's basically, it first starts like the sound of, I mean, there are many interpretations of this, but it's a concept that divides what a word represents, like from the sound of the word, like and the concept of the word. Let's say, for example, if I say father, there's the sound of the word father that's meaningless, and that can mean different things for different people. And there's also the meaning of father, right? And linguistics is studied by making these small differences. And there, Lacan, the psychoanalyst, he took this concept and brought further into the study of the subconscious and about the signifier chains and the master signifier and this different concepts that or these words, as you want to say, that kind of construct your subjectivity, right? And the approach of the study of the unconscious in Lacan, signifier chains and how the symbols kind of connect to each other and can actually try to explain what somebody feels or the unconscious person. So a lot of the game is about that, right? And it's about a particular signifier of Joanna, but it's also about the signifier chains that make the unconscious come together, right?
Damn. Okay. So it's a simple question. Like, what does it mean? Obviously, David, like every
deep,
facet,
like many other things about this.
I mean, every facet of this game, it just seems like so much attention and care has gone into it. It's fantastic. Before we wrap up, any final words for anyone watching at home? Any shout outs? Anything you want to say to the people watching?
Oh, sorry, I lost everybody for a while.
Oh, sorry, David. Yeah, just saying, before we wrap up, do you have any kind of final words for anyone watching at home? Something they should be aware of before they play the Signifier live on Steam right now? Go buy it at 1679 euros and stuff.
Yeah.
Go buy it.
All that.
Any final words for anyone watching at home? Any shout outs to team members? Anything like that you want to say?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I want to make a big shout out for our team. I want to talk more. I want to for us to be more for the whole team to be more visible, hopefully in next streams and everything. It's been a very passionate project. So thanks to everyone for being part of it. Thanks to Raw Fury for supporting such a crazy project. And for the people watching, I really hope you enjoy the game. It's I think it's a unique ride, and be prepared for some heavy stuff, and also for to be a bit scared maybe. And I really hope you like it, and I really hope you give it a chance. It's not it's an original game that I can put my hands on it. I mean, hands on the fire for that, and it's also I think it's the current build. It's pretty polished, so I think. You if you like these themes and this type of gameplay, you should definitely try it. I don't think you will be disappointed.
Totally. Dig the mystery. If you're into that stuff, mystery, detective stuff. If you want to be a little spooked, a little scared, which is the perfect season for that right now, you should go check it out.
Right on. There you have it, folks. The Signifier launching today. It's actually live already. It's already launched
it's
today.
Already launched.
Go play it. Let us know what you think. Can't wait to
Finally.
hear your feedback. David, always a pleasure, man. Thank you so much for
Yes,
taking
thank
time
you for
out of
coming.
launch
My
day to
pleasure.
come talk to us. I know you got a lot on your plate, so always a pleasure. Always a mind-blowing experience speaking with you.
It is.
Much appreciated. Now, I hope you can go celebrate the launch and take it easy for a little bit, maybe.
Yeah.
Get some sleep.
Some rest is needed.
Go sleep, man. Go sleep. But don't dream.
You should always dream about
Thank you,
better
guys. Take care.
things.
All right, and thanks so much, everybody, for watching the stream. Hope you enjoy.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
It's easier to grasp the aesthetics of the imagination than the visual truth of memories.
Precisely. 8% of dream reconstructed.
Who found her?
Didn't you get the report? It was her husband.
Okay. I'm investigating the brain of a top executive. I'm not really sure the story around her death is true.
16% of dream reconstructed.
I saw a lot of other things. I just need to understand her unconscious better. There's such melancholy to all this.
When we first started, we didn't know where we were going to end up. The challenges we would face.
Joanna, is it you?
100% of dream reconstructed.
What the hell happened here, Russell?